It began with rumors that the HOA had hired security to take over my ranch. At first, I dismissed it as Karen being dramatic, but soon, I noticed trucks and unfamiliar vehicles creeping along the edges of my property. This was no joke. Someone was trying to enforce HOA authority on land that wasn't theirs. I grabbed my phone and reviewed the security footage. Sure enough, hired personnel were attempting to access my ranch, talking on radios and planning a takeover. It was a bold move, but it was also illegal. Trespassing, coercion, and harassment, all in one. I calmly called Grandpa, my retired sheriff, to brief him. Within minutes, he arrived in full uniform, badge gleaming. "Let's see what kind of operation they're running," he said, scanning the perimeter. Knowing Karen and the HOA had overreached, I decided to take preventive measures. I started by reinforcing the ranch boundaries with temporary but formidable deterrents. Movable fences, natural obstacles, and strategically placed signage warning against trespassing. Every step of the way, the hired security was captured on cameras, and their actions were logged in real time. Karen herself arrived in a panic, realizing her plan was being foiled. "This is our property. You can't do this," she yelled. I shook my head, calmly sipping coffee. "This is my property. You are trespassing. Any attempt to enforce control over my land is illegal. You've been warned." The hired personnel, unaware of the legal trap they had walked into, approached cautiously. That's when I decided to escalate defensively but decisively. Using the terrain, I converted parts of the ranch into a controlled minefield of deterrence. Nothing harmful, but enough to make approaching dangerous. Tripwires triggered loud alarms, sprinklers soaked the intruders, and barriers redirected them into isolated zones where Grandpa and I could confront them safely. Karen shrieked in frustration. "Stop them! They're on my property." I smiled. "Actually, this is all my property. You might want to check your deeds before issuing commands." Grandpa stepped forward, calmly but authoritatively enforcing the law. "You're trespassing. Any further interference could result in arrest. Step back immediately." By the afternoon, the hired team was retreating, soaked, confused, and humiliated. Karen's threats rang hollow against documented legal authority, security footage, and the reality of my prepared defenses. I sent a certified notice to the HOA. Any further attempts to seize or interfere with my ranch would result in immediate legal action, financial penalties, and criminal charges. Neighbors, watching from a safe distance, whispered and marveled at the spectacle. Karen had consistently overstepped, but now her overreach had turned into public humiliation. Her hired guns were powerless on my land, and her reputation had suffered a devastating blow. For lasting effect, I installed a sign at the main entrance of the ranch. "Private property, unauthorized HOA takeover attempts will be prosecuted." By the end of the day, peace had returned. My ranch was secure, the HOA had been publicly humiliated, and Karen had learned, yet again, that intimidation, threats, and hired interference mean nothing when met with preparation, law, and strategy. My land, my rules, and my justice were fully intact.